Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Roszipou and once again it is the time of the month to showcase my creations in my bullet journal, specifically the theme that I planned for May 2021. I'm still consistent with my video game themes in my journal, and this one is kind of special to me. I'll be straight up honest with you guys, my April was not really a good month for me. I was super overwhelmed with work, and on top of that, my tendonitis in my drawing arm came back, so I had to stop working, and it was just really hard for me mentally, so I needed something quite, simple, minimal, and I was still having my tendonitis when I was recording this theme. So just to give you guys an idea, I had to record on 3 separate days, so my arm could rest and I could make this video on time. So it was really hard on me, on my mental health too, but I'm very proud of what I did. I think it's looking super cute and I hope that you guys will like it. Even if my theme is kind of minimal, I do feel like it goes well with the aesthetic that I choose. You guys will see. And just before we get things started, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you would like to see more, and give it a like too if you like it. Alright, enough chit chat and let's get right into it. So for May 2021, I decided to go for a Final Fantasy VII theme, mainly because it's a game I tried to play for years and I was never able to get into it, and I finally did when I played the remake that came out in March 2020 or February 2020, around that time, a little bit before Animal Crossing New Horizon. And more recently, I've been trying to finish it finally on stream with my Twitch chat, and by the recording of this video, we are close to finish part 2, and I'm just so happy that I'm finally giving this game a chance. Which, by the way, if you would like to see me play Final Fantasy VII, you can visit my Twitch channel. I'll put a link in the description box below. I stream almost every weekday starting 12 p.m. EST. Okay, so I know I don't have my bullet journal right now. I'm kind of doing like a weird painting thingy. I am actually trying to recreate the Final Fantasy VII logo, which I'm gonna put on screen right now. It's kind of like, if you don't know what the story is about, it's kind of like a weird ball thingy with like some sort of things that is like following it. I don't think it's a spoiler if I'm saying it, but it's actually a meteorite. So I got my watercolors and I decided I would just paint a green to blue gradient, and yeah, because I had bad experiences with my journal in the past, especially a journal that wasn't 160 GSM. I use watercolor in it. I think this bullet journal theme is still up on YouTube. Actually, it was April 2020. I still have nightmare from that, so just so it doesn't happen again, I decided to take I think it's a 100 GSM cardboard paper, and I did my watercolor on it. Now I'm using another page, and this one is just gonna be blue gradient. I'm gonna make 3 big stripes of blue, that is kind of transparent, blue cyan, and all those such things. I'm actually gonna use them through my bullet journal as dialogue boxes, or that represents certain dialogue boxes in the game. You guys will see a little bit later. So while I'm still working on my watercolor, I wanted to talk to you guys about what Final Fantasy is about and my general experience with it. Let me know in the comment if it's something that you like to hear me ramble about while you guys are watching me doing this stuff. So yeah, Final Fantasy is a Japanese JRPG. Wow, I'm kind of repeating myself right here. It's a Japanese RPG, a role-playing game that was first released in 1988 on the NES. It really revolutionized the genre of RPGs and mainly set what a JRPG should look like. You know, games like Dragon Quest and all those kind of stuff, they all got inspired from Final Fantasy. And yeah, I can like just the fact that the game used like a third base, you know, system combat. We can see that in Pokemon, in like many different games, and yeah, that those types of like gameplay comes from Final Fantasy. Right now I'm just showing like a little close-up of the watercolors that I did, and I think that I'm gonna move on to, yes, exactly, I'm gonna move on to my bullet journal, and I'm gonna cut through my watercolor, the one that I did with like the green and the blue gradient. I'm gonna cut through it so it takes the shape of like the meteorite thing. I also wrote on the left page May. You'll notice that I wrote it with a I. That's because that's how we spell May in French. If you are new to my channel, I am French Canadian, so most of the time I'm gonna use a French label for certain things and sometimes English just because it sounds better. But generally for like my month or the days of the week, I'm gonna use them in French because I mainly write in French in my bullet journal. Continuing on with what is Final Fantasy. I just wanted like to go from like a little historic of like why is it called Final Fantasy. So the game company that developed the game, which is Square Enix, and it used to be called Square at the time, they were about to go into bankruptcy, and they decided to release one last game as their quote-unquote last-ditch effort in the game industry. The man behind Final Fantasy, Hironobu Sakaguchi, oh my god, I totally misspelled that. Hold on. No. Oh my goodness. Hironobu Sakaguchi. Okay, there we go. I got it, I think. Please don't cut me off on my horrible pronunciation. Either way, the mind behind Final Fantasy, Sakaguchi, they said that if Final Fantasy was not selling well, they would quit the video game industry altogether and go back to university. Well, we all know what happened. Today, Square Enix is about to release their 15th installment of the series, and I don't count the many spin-off games. So, as for Final Fantasy though, as for Final Fantasy VII though, the first game released in 1997 on the PlayStation. It was actually the game that made Square Enix switch to most of their titles to the PlayStation as they keep innovating and they wanted to use pre-rendered cutscene. And for that, they needed CD-ROMs, which the PlayStation was doing at the time. Nintendo was still using cartridges. So, yeah. And to be precise, when you would buy the game back in the day, it would came in 3 CD-ROMs. So the story follows Cloud Strife, a mercenary who joins a group called Avalanche, who are actually a eco-terrorist group, and they try to stop Shinra, a corporation that uses the planet's life essence, life stream as a energy source. So a little bit like how companies use like oil to, to make electricity. But in this game, it's like the live stream. It's like this weird, weird power source, kind of. And the event leads to the pursuit to stop a character called Sephiroth, which is a former member of Shinra, and they basically want to destroy the planet. It's a pretty intense plot, isn't it? It's crazy how much like a 1997 game is still somehow relevant today, if we think about like all the climate change issues and like our current position with the environment. So just right now, I finished cutting through my little meteorite. I think I didn't really like one of the edges, so I just like cut through with my scissors. And right now, I'm trying to choose the best blue cyan gradient that I did to put my quote in it. And for my quote, I decided to use my Sakura white gel pen. Mostly, oh, there goes Sunny. You'll see my cat popping in sometimes while I'm doing my bullet journal. You guys saw Kiro in the intro, and this is Sunny. She is my soon-to-be 1-year-old kitty. Oh my god, time flies. But either way, I'm using a white gel pen, mostly because I wanted to reference the dialogue boxes. They mainly use white text, so yeah, that's why I use a white pen, even though we can't really see what I wrote. And my quote is actually a quote said by Cloud, the protagonist, and it says, "To tell you the truth, I'm afraid of myself. There is a part of me that I don't understand. That's why I should quit this journey. But I am going. I must go on." And I felt like it was really relevant to me, especially with the month that I got with my tendonitis and everything. Sometimes I feel like I should just like give up on everything and do something else in order to not lose my drawing arm, but I must not quit. The journey is never over. It's not because I have a tendonitis that is the end of the world. I must go on. I must take care of myself. And yeah, I am in this incredible journey, and I should not give up. So for my next spread, I decided to combine my calendar with my tasks and my goals and my events. I don't really have a lot of plan this month, and it goes kind of good in this way because I really wanted to have a minimal style of calendar. So I wrote May 2021, and I wrote 2021 in Roman letters. I hope I didn't make a mistake. I don't think I did. But yeah. So as you notice, I'm not using like any kind of like cursive or whatsoever. I'm trying to keep like everything kind of minimal, and the reason is that I was very much inspired from the general logo or box art of the Final Fantasy game, not only for my harm's sakes, but mostly to respect like the general aesthetic of the cover arts for most of the game. Like I said, I'll put some example on screen right now, but most of the time the logo is just, you know, a black serif font, a watercolor illustration, or like just like the line art of an illustration with like some, you know, primary color on it, a white background, and that's it. They keep it like very, very classy, and I kind of like really like this type of look. So everything is minimal. I'm pretty much using 3 different kind of pen through my whole bullet journal, and the only colors that I'm gonna use is gonna be from my watercolor palette. So right now I'm using my leftover of my meteorite gradient that I did, the little cardboard, and I'm trying to cut little bit of pieces of it into it, so it kind of like, you know, just merged everything together. And like I said, I did 3 main focus this month, so I'm gonna write down my events of the month, I'm gonna write down my goals and my task of the month. So I kind of like got rid of the brain dump and monthly task thingy that I usually do every month, mostly because, like I said, I don't have a lot of plans this month. I may or may not regret it depending on what's going on, but I should not have a lot of things planned. So now we are moving on into my mood tracker and my habit tracker. So when you first open the game, after the title screen, you see a sword kind of like into the ground, and it's where it asks if you want to start a new game or if you want to continue a new game or whatsoever. And this sword is actually Cloud's sword, so it's kind of like a very big sword. I don't know how he does to carry it around. I'm guessing he's just like super strong. And you saw that I draw a bunch of like little circles in it. That's because in the game they use a system that calls materia. It's kind of like the magic system, and you can actually equip a bunch of these to your characters. So you can equip stuff that increases your stats, like your HP, your defense, or whatsoever, or that grants you the use of using magic. So like fire, blizzard, thunder, and you can even like do little summons. So you invoke like a very big character that does like, you know, a very overkill move. So I wanted to represent that, and because for me, like the sword planted into the ground, especially this sword, represents Final Fantasy VII a lot. I tried to incorporate like both of those things. And for my habit tracker, I was actually inspired from the battle scene menu. So you see that I did kind of like 2/3 of it that is like that kind of represents all my different habits, and the last third is actually just like a little decorative aspect. I'm gonna use one of my watercolor like panels that I did, and I'm gonna write down the names of, like, you know, Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa, and I'm gonna try to redo their stats and whatsoever. But yeah, let me try to explain what was my idea behind my habit tracker. It's kind of like complicated, but I'll try my best to explain it. So last month, like I said, not super good month for me, and one of the things that I like with my habit tracker is that every time I do something, I colored something or whatsoever, and it's kind of like motivating me to do it. But when I'm not feeling well, you know, I don't think it's kind of like a secret. I'm not super good at taking care of myself. So my bullet journal in my habit tracker is pretty much empty. And the more emptier it wasn't motivating for me for trying to, you know, do those habits. And there's a system in the game where when you take a lot of damage, it increases a stats or something that calls limit break. And the more you take damage, the more the bar fills up. And when it fills up, you can actually use a certain like overkill move. So yeah, it's kind of like a system that helps a player, helps like to encourage a player to not die, but like if you take a lot of damage and if you're not like super good, well, that's okay, because your limit break is gonna increase and you'll be able to do this overkill move basically. Right, and right now I'm just showing like what is the results of like the little panels that I did. And just to finish what I was saying, so what I'm gonna do is that every time I'm gonna do one of my habits, it's gonna increase my HP. I'm not gonna write it with like a pen, I'm just gonna like, you know, write it with a pencil. And every day that I'm gonna miss a habit, I'm gonna color my limit break. So by the end of the month, I'm not gonna be discouraged if I don't make an habit, because my limit break will increase, and I'm not gonna be like that unmotivated, if that makes sense. And I'm also gonna increase like my HP stat. I'm gonna color it the more I do, the more I do my habits in the month. Oh, and right now Kero just joined us. Like I said at the intro, Kero is gonna supervise a lot in my bullet journal. I also forgot to mention, and oh, here's Kero. He's gonna supervise us for the rest of the video, like I said in my intro. I forgot to say that I did 4 circles at the bottom that will represent my moon, and in the sword there is 31 circle for materials, just like how many days there is in May. And right now I am working on my page. I decide to, because I like having my brain dump pretty empty, so I have enough space to write down all my ideas and whatsoever. So I wanted to keep it to a minimal, and because I didn't have another idea for a spread to go with it, I wasn't feeling like doing a quote or whatsoever, because like I said, I really wanted to keep this thing very minimal. I just decided to do a Dutch door, and that's gonna be my first week of the month, basically. But yeah, for my brand up, I decided that I'm gonna recreate the menu system. So we have all the portraits of the characters to the left. So we have Cloud, Barrett, Tifa, Aerith, and Red 13. And I just aligned them as if it was a menu. I have not decided if like each character is gonna represent like one category of ideas. But yeah, just like I said, I like to keep it very, empty. So I don't like, not censor myself, but I don't put boundaries around myself. Like, oh no, I'm just only supposed to write work stuff in the Tifa era or whatsoever. So I'm just gonna keep it minimal and not, assign everything with a character whatsoever. It's just like gonna comes naturally. So now I'm finally working on my first weekly spread of the month. I decided to dedicate this spread to one special character that I really like, which is Aerith. She is known at the beginning of the game as the Flower Girl, and she gives a yellow Lilith to Cloud. Well, at least in the remake. I think in the original too, but we don't really see the flower. But in the remake, she gives Cloud a yellow Lilith, so I decided to draw a lily at the bottom right of the second page. And like I said, I'm using a Dutch door system, so I have Monday, Tuesday on one page. On the other page I have Wednesday, Thursday, and on the last page I have Friday and weekend. I try to the best that I can to take day off on weekend, and I kind of realized that if I have a separate day for Saturday and Sunday, I tend to plan stuff on those days. So I prefer to have like one panel, if that makes sense, for the weekend in general. So I just don't over myself with work on one specific day. So I can like split it for both days, if that makes sense. And yeah, and on over the lily, I wrote down to do as a master to do list for the week. And yeah, you also notice that I drew 3 or 4 circles depending on the week of the day, the day of the week, I mean, to represent once again the materia. Aerith and the connection with the materia is really strong in the game, so I thought it would be like a good idea to put them together. And right now I'm just like painting inside of the circles. You also notice that I try to not close down my lines. It's not because my armor was hurting or whatsoever, but I always felt that with watercolors, you should keep your line art pretty, how do we say it? Like, not finished, but like delicate. So I was not like super like, you know, focus or like super stiff to make like a perfect line art. I was just trying to let my hand go, and most of the time I'm horrible at making circles. I don't close them. That's why I do digital art mostly, so my lines are not even closed, and I feel like it gave like a very delicate and soft aesthetic for the spread. Let me know what you think. I thought it kind of looked cute, and fun, and very different of what I usually do. So let me know if you kind of like this technique as well. And Sunny came back, she wanted some pets. So in the little material circles, I just wrote down the days of the week. And now I'm just passing by with my Sakura white gel pen, to add some reflection and like shiny effects to the materia. And I was also correcting the bits and pieces where, you know, I kind of like went over with the paint, or for example, on the back of the first page, when I was turning over, some of the painted areas was not dry yet and it did a little stain. So yeah, the Sakura white gel pen is really useful for those kind of things. And that's pretty much it for my theme of the month. Yay! Thank you so much for keeping up until the end, for watching fully my creative progress. I'm super glad I'll be able to finish Final Fantasy VII on Twitch really soon. I'll be taking a small break from part 2, moving to part 3, because that's a lot of emotion to take at the same time. And I hope that you guys who watch this video will be able to see my reaction to the ending of part 3 whenever I'm gonna be starting it. Again, you can find a link to my Twitch channel in the description box. And once again, don't forget to subscribe, to like the video, hit the bell to keep up with my incoming videos. And yeah, I hope that you guys like this theme. Enjoy the rest of your day, stay safe, stay pink, and enjoy the final flip through. Goodbye, friends!